Hi guys, so today I'm going to be showing you 4 basic ways that you can actually utilize to generate a secure pre-shared key. So basically a pre-shared key, or PSK for short, also known as a shared secret, is a string of characters that is used as an authentication key in a cryptographic process. So a PSK key is shared before being used by both parties during the authentication and communication process, and usually before the PSK is used, you have to usually share a username and a password. So one of the most common places where a PSK is used is during your normal Wi-Fi login process. You'll notice that whenever you configure a Wi-Fi access point or a Wi-Fi router, you usually have to set up what's called a WPA PSK key, or WPA2 PSK key, or an EAP pre-shared key. All of those are different pre-shared key technologies that are used to secure systems. So the good thing about a pre-shared key is it makes it difficult for a hacker or an attacker to gain access to your data or to access to your systems, because the key has to be pre-shared between both parties. So it's difficult for a third party to then come into that and actually gain access to unauthorized data. So I'm actually going to be using in Amazon Lightsail Ubuntu instance in this case to do this demonstration too. So I'm just going to be showing you the commands, the 4 Linux commands that you can actually use to generate secure pre-shared keys. So I'm going to create a new instance in Lightsail. So click on create instance. And then actually at the top of the page you can actually choose to change the instance location, but in this case I'm just going to leave it in London. And then on selected platform I'm going to choose Linux, and then select OS only, and then in this case I'm just going, for this demonstration, I'm going to be using Ubuntu 20.04. And then on the choose your plan, I'm just going to create the $10 instance, and then I'm actually going to name this instance PSK demo server. So that's the name I'm actually going to give this instance. So once you're done, click on create, and then Amazon Lightsail will then go out to create the instance for us. So whilst we're waiting for the instant creation process to complete, I'm just going to highlight that I'm going to be showing you how to generate pre-shared keys, secure pre-shared keys using OpenSSL, and then I'm then going to show you how to use the GPG command to generate pre-shared keys, and then I'm then going to show you how to use this command called head in Linux, as well as date. So those are the 4 commands that we're actually going to be using to generate strong pre-shared keys in Linux Ubuntu. So I'm just waiting for this process to complete. Usually can take a minute or so. Okay, so we're good to go. So you can click on the name of the instance that we've just created, and if you check under the connect tab, you'll see the IP address that we actually use to connect out to this instance, as well as the username. So what you actually need to do is to click on the download default key button. That's if you're also using Lightsail. So actually this is another way, this is actually a good example of how pre-shared keys are actually used in the real world. In this case, I'm actually going to be using a pre-shared .pem file to actually connect to this instance. Okay, so I'm going to go open up my command prompt, and then I'm going to change my working directory to the downloads folder. I've gone into downloads, and the first thing is you need to set this file as read only, so that if there's anyone on the internet who is eavesdropping on my connection, you won't be able to actually read through this file. So you just run the command chmod 400, and then you type in the name of the keypair file and you hit enter. Make sure just check here the actual name. Okay, okay, so I think I left out some characters there. So it's actually .pem here. Let me try that. Getting a syntax error. Actually, I had downloaded some files before, so let me just delete the ones I have here. Let me just delete these two, and then I'll just repeat the code. I'm just doing this so that you can actually see how the process should be. The way to download the default keypair file again. Let's try that one more time. Here, so I'm just going to delete the extra file. Okay, so I'm just left with one keypair file. Then I'm going to then rerun the command. Okay, so when you run this command, you shouldn't see any errors. And if you do a ls command on the keypair file, you actually notice that it's now only read only. But if you check other files and folders that actually have the marked as read, write, and executable, but we've actually changed the permissions of this file to just read only mode only. So the next thing that I'm actually going to do is to connect out to my instance. So I'm just going to type sshi, and then I'm going to append the file name of the keypair file name actually, and then the username on the instance, which is Ubuntu, as well as the IP address. So that's the IP address. Then I'm going to copy that and paste it into the terminal window, and then you hit enter. So you'll actually be asked if you're sure to connect, and then it's actually going to be showing me this ECDSA key fingerprint. So just type in yes and press enter. So once you've actually connected to your instance, I'm actually now then going to be showing you how to then generate secure. Okay, so to generate the key, the first command, as I promised, is we're going to be using OpenSSL. So the command is OpenSSL. Then you say rand. Actually, let me just change this to small caps. OpenSSL, and then you have to specify the rand command, which actually instructs OpenSSL to generate a random string. And then we're then going to tell it to use base 64 encoding, and then it's going to be a 32-bit key. So if you hit enter, you'll see there's a long string that will actually be spelled out by the command. So this is this is actually part of the PreShared key that you can actually specify when you actually intend to use this for authenticating with some other device or service. So this is one command that you can use, or you can actually choose to generate a 64-bit key. So you can see this key is actually much longer than the previous one that I did, because this one is a 32-bit key and this one is actually a 64-bit key. So the next command that you can actually use, you can use GPG. So basically GPG is a command line tool that essentially provides data encryption and signing services using the OpenPGP standard. So you can actually use its gen random option to generate a strong PSK and filter through base 64 encoding. So so to use GPG, you just run GPG, then you specify the option gen random. So I'm actually telling GPG to generate a random key, and then you can specify a quality level from 1 through to 2. So that's the quality level that I'm selecting, and you can actually select the number of characters you want in the key. So in this case, if you want 10 characters, you just specify 10, and then we have to tell it to use base 64 encoding. So if you say base 64 and you hit enter, you actually see a few commands being outputs, because this is the first time I'm actually running this command. So it's telling us that it's actually created the home/ubuntu.gnupg directory, and then it created a key box here, and then right here that's the PreShared key. So if you actually count these characters, there are actually about 10 of them, I think. Let me actually see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not sure, actually a bit more than 10. The other option that you can actually use, you can actually increase the length. I think I'm not sure what the other 2 characters are for. You can specify a length of 20 and it will generate a longer key. Basically, if you just want a longer key, you just need to increase to say 10, 20, 30 going forward. So it goes all the way up to 70. You can generate a key with up to 70 character counts. So if you say 70 there, it will generate a very long key. So that's the second way that you can actually use to generate secure keys, PreShared keys in Linux. The other way that you can make use of, if you want to generate secure PreShared keys, is you can use pseudo-random number generators. Usually, I think these are usually come built in most Linux distributions, but in this case, I'm using Ubuntu. So to generate using pseudo-random number generators, the command is head, and then C, and then 35, and then dev random, I think, and then you then specify the base 64 encoding and hit enter. So that actually spit out a long string of letters and numbers. So that's the PreShared key that you get if you run this command. If you can actually use a different, if you want to specify a longer key length, you just say 60 there and you hit enter. So that should actually give out an even longer key, if I'm not mistaken. It should, because we specified a longer key length, it will take a bit of moment for it to generate the key. In this case, it's just taking too long. Let me actually try to bail out of here. So that's the second command that you can actually use to generate secure PreShared keys in Ubuntu. Then the fourth and last way that I'm going to show you how to generate secure PreShared keys is you can use the date and SHA-256 sum commands. So to do that, you can say date and then SHA-256 sum, and then you can specify a base 64 encoding, and then you can say head C45, and then we're then going to echo that out. Let's test that and see. Okay, I actually made a typing error. It's supposed to be SHA-256, not 356. Let me just make that correction and then try again. There you go. So we actually get a secure key that we can actually use to authenticate systems. Usually, you actually use this command whenever you're installing packages such as netbox or netdata or stuff like that. I usually use this stuff when I'm installing that. So there you have it, folks. This is how the 4 ways that you can generate secure PreShared keys on Linux, Ubuntu, and other Ubuntu distributions available out there. I hope this tutorial has been informative, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.